What is going on, guys? It is Wolfie Atana here. So for those of you that don't know or didn't read the title of the video, we're going to be doing group only doors. Now the way I like to do them personally isn't the touch event because it's really slow, like the player comes over and like touches it, and then our little guy comes over, he touches it, he has to stop moving for a second, and then he gets to go through because the door finally goes transparent and can't collide. So we're going to make it so that when they first join the game, the second they join, if they can get through them, they go transparent and can't collide goes off so they can walk straight through, and it never hinders their game because the second they get in is when it loads, right? And now we're also going to make it so that it only loads client side, meaning only the player that is in the group or is at that rank gets through. Now the way we're going to do it is I'm going to have two different variants. I'm going to have the group door, which any member of your group or Game Pass or whatever you want to do it as can get through. I wouldn't recommend using this for Game Passes, but if you know what you're doing, you could tweak the script for Game Passes. And if you want to see that tweaked to make these work for Game Passes, let me know and I'll either just make a full video out of it or I don't know. And then this one right here, which is group only, so this one over here, which is our high rank, is going to go ahead and go transparent only if they're at a certain rank or greater. So what we have going on is we have our module script and our local script. So we're going to be doing this with a module, and we're going to go ahead and start with the module. First thing we're going to get is services. Actually, we won't need services for module. We're going to call it local handler equals, turn that into a table, and then return handler so that it can actually run, right? Now the first thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to do function handler.group, and that's going to handle all of our ones inside the group. And I will show you at the end of this, but if this goes correctly and works correctly, I should be able to duplicate this part 1,000 times if I wanted to and move them around and all of them will work, and then duplicate this one 1,000 times and all of them will work. If I move one door from this one to this one, it'll work with that one, so on and so forth. We're going to try to do this in a loop style instead of a single door style, so I don't need a different script for all of my doors. So function handler.rank, turn that into a function, and now we're going to pass the player argument, player. Right, and actually we're going to turn this into a standalone module, which means it's one module that works on a script, and we're going to need a handler.init. Right, so now we're going to go ahead and get all of our services. And I'll show you all what that init is for here in a minute. And I'll explain it when we get down to it. So don't worry too much about it. It doesn't really need to work or exist right now. I'm just putting in there for those that are following along. We're going to name that players equals game, get service players. And then we're going to go ahead and make this player equals, actually we're still in services, so never mind. Now we're going to make locals, local player equals players.local player. Now going from there, we're going to also need the local doors equals workspace.doors, local group doors equals doors dot group only, get children, local rank doors equals doors dot high rank, get children. You need those get childrens in there. You don't need the same names. If you want to follow along exactly, use the same names. But just so that y'all know, you don't need to name this and you don't need to name this. Those can remain as part and they will operate independently and separately. Next thing we're going to need is we're going to need a table. And now if you don't like tables, you can turn these into individual locals up here. But I prefer to use tables. And the reason I'm not going to use the module table is because it is easier for someone that's hacking your game to get a hold of this handler table than it is to get a hold of the table in here, if that makes sense. Because I will show y'all when I go into the local script how you can play with those from a different script. And since this all runs client side, because I don't want it to run server side, even though we could run it server side, and I will show y'all that in a different video, a server side version of this. This is just client side. I will show you the server side in a different video. Local values equals, and we're going to do max underscore rank. And we're going to go ahead and set that to like 55 for now, and then pretty sure that's all we need for now, but we'll revisit that when we come back. I'm kind of doing this off the dome, so forgive me if we have to circle back to certain things, right? I don't like to have a separate, because like I have two screens over here, right? I don't like to have a separate script that I'm copying off of. It feels fake to me, especially for something called a script with me. Anyway, so moving on. So in our group, we're going to have if player get role in group. Oh, I know what we're going to need here. We're going to need the group ID. And we'll set that to 0 for now. You can fill that group ID in with whatever you want. We'll just do group ID doesn't equal guest, then print not guest, and we'll do if player get rank in group values.group ID. And we'll set this to 0 for now. Print 0. Right? And we'll set that to that for now. And then in this one, what we're going to do is we're going to get the services, local replicate storage, equals game get service, replicate storage, and then requires local handler. Now you don't have to name this handler. For those of you that don't know, you can name this George or Greg, right? Equals require, not replicate storage, require replicate storage dot module script, and then Greg dot init will still run. I prefer to do handler, or I could do door underscore handler, because this is our door handler, and often you'll have all of these for anyone that has ever used a thing called Knit, which is a really good framework if you know how to use it. It's amazing to use. I personally don't like using it, but I still think very highly of it. Alright, so moving on from there, what we have is our handler.init, right? Now what we're going to do is player.character added connect function, boom, boom, boom. And we'll do handler.group player handler.rank player. And we'll change this to, no, we'll keep that. We could honestly get rid of these if we really want to, because player is already a variable, since this is a local script. You don't have to get rid of those, but I'm going to. And now when we hit play, we should see an output. Alright, and we get the 0. Right, but we don't get not guessed. And that's because that's set to doesn't equal guessed. So now we're going to retry this and see if we get the, yes, keep my changes. We're going to go ahead and retry this and see if we get the output. We do get not guessed and we do get 0. So I'm going to run you through how those work real quick. So get role in group produces the actual role name. Get rank in group produces the actual ID. And if you've ever owned a group, you'll understand what that means. If you don't, then I'll explain it real quick. So the rank ID is in the actual group. You set levels or a number for each rank, and that tells the system where it goes on your board. Max is 255, which is owner, and you can't change that. Everything else can be below it. So moving on from there, what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to do a for IV, and what do we call that? We call that group doors do task.wait. So there is a difference between task.wait and wait. So any of y'all that are using wait, I really highly encourage you to no longer use wait and just use task.wait. Wait isn't accurate. right? So if I do task.wait, this will wait exactly the bare minimum of time, whereas wait has some semblance of randomness, and I like to remove all randomness from my code, so I use task.wait. And then we go down from there, v.transparency equals 0.2. We'll put 0.2 for now. v.canCollide equals false. And we'll put a comma there. Why did I put a comma there? And we'll go ahead and make sure these are anchored. They are anchored. If you don't anchor them, then those will fall to the ground. And we're going to go ahead and hit play real quick and see if that works for our group door. It does do that, and it doesn't do that, probably because I misspelled canCollide, didn't I? Yep. I did misspell canCollide. That is rough. Let's see, where did I misspell it? C-O-L-L-I-D-E. C-O-L-L-I-D-E. I-D-E. I switched my E and D. That's rough. That's an elbozo moment right there. And then we'll just go ahead and copy and paste that. Actually, we have to copy and paste the whole thing, not just that. Double elbozo moments, you know? It happens. And we're going to go ahead and change this to, what is it, rank doors? Yep, rank doors. Do, and then we'll hit play. Now, we have to go and switch it so that it works in reverse, because right now we have to set it to those that aren't in the group, right? So, we're going to change this to doesn't. We're going to change this greater than or equal to values.maxRank. And that's because we set our max rank here, which means it works here. Now we'll hit play. And it shouldn't work now, and it doesn't. Alright, so I will be right back. We're going to go and grab a group ID. This is the group ID. That's for the Atano family, for anyone of y'all that have ever heard of it. Not a very big Roblox group, but it is one. And I lucked out. I'm above 55 on there. Cool. Frizzle my shizzle for the win. Anyways, so that works now, and we are all set up. And post-production, Wolfie here. If you have any ideas, leave them in the comments below, please. Thank you.